Here goes nothing. Oh, okay. Yeah, good. It's working. So,
Perfect.
So we're on YouTube. So this thing is working. Okay. Well, so yeah, thanks for joining me, Danny. When we were working on Alien, it went so well, and I just from talking to you, I know how much you like all the kind of craft stuff, you know. Same as myself, and with the comic out and everything, I thought it might be a good thing to kind of like have a bit of a chat about it. We actually had a bit of a rough go of it just to see how it went, and went really well. And I've forgotten everything we talked about anyway. So, yeah. So I thought it'd be cool to kind of go through everything, the script and the layout and your inks and the finished book, and just kind of get your thoughts about working together. Thoughts work on Alien. So basically I'm writer on Alien at the moment. This was an annual between the first and second arc, drawn by Andrea Braccardo. And for this one shot, it's a silent story basically. And Danny came in, and Danny, I mean, what, you're your first year at Marvel Comics now, aren't you?
Yeah, first year, Dick. It's yeah. Sorry, Dick. I thought you were going to keep. I thought you were coming into that to keep on going. Yeah, it's the first year. This is let me see. I think I've done 3 stories before this, and then I've done a little short DC story as well, included on top of this. But now this is the first kind of full issue, like 30 pages unbroken, for me to be able to kind of go in and kind of, I suppose, showcase what I could do. Like, seeing as it was a silent story, it was one of those things. And it's kind of aliens, it's monsters, it's right up my alley. I love horror books and stuff. So it was like, right, let's kind of see if I can sink my teeth into it. And I was lucky enough to be offered the job. Geez, this early, I was like so lucky to be offered it. So I wanted to really put my life and soul into it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was it. I'd seen you do lots of kind of street level stuff, which I like. So I wasn't even sure this would be something that would be up your alley. But yeah, you were saying, like, this is totally your thing. So I was talking to editor Sarah Brunstad, and she was saying, well, so one, I was excited to work with you because like your stuff is great, and like your enthusiasm is infectious as well.
That's great.
Yeah, it was actually Sarah Brunstad's idea to make this as a silent issue, which was great in a way for me because then I didn't have to like do all the dialogue. But it's also tough because I had to write it in a way that would like work visually. I couldn't just like tell you what happened. I mean, I could have just said, here's the gist, do your thing. But I mean, that wouldn't have been fair. I do actually have to like write the thing. But it was interesting to write it from a point of view of like where I could think about it visually and then see what you did. So I'm going to bring up the script there. You can see I basically have a note going. Danny has some creatures designed in this annual by Andrea. It's silent. It'll succeed or fail on your storytelling shop, so no pressure. So that was kind of the gist of it. Like, how do you feel about that?
It was so funny. I was sitting with my fiance when I opened this email. I was like, oh, I got the script. I got the email. I'm buzzing. I'm sitting down. I had a cup of tea ready. She's sitting beside me. We don't usually. I'm usually in my studio, but it happened to be together. We were together, and I was like, read the first line. Read it. Oh, this is so cool. Marvel script, like to Danny. It's like no pressure. I just looked. I'm like, oh, fuck me. I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, cheers, Dick. No, it was amazing, Dick. You know, one of those things. I actually got asked loads since the Alien annual has been out and the New York Comic Con last week, what the script looked like. People were asking, kind of, was it intense? Was it? Some people were asking me questions, kind of, was it laid out like old Marvel script? Like, was it just a couple of pages and I had to plot the whole thing? I was like, no, not at all. It was actually perfect. Coming, I don't know. Like, you tell me, you've worked with way more people than I have, but an artist and a writer writing for an artist is like so good. Like I said in the last kind of interview that we done, you gave me everything I needed, and it was exactly what I needed, if that makes sense. You know, there was like just enough in there. There wasn't overloaded, kind of like, and it wasn't kind of bogging me down. It was just perfectly written for an artist, I think, anyway.
Well, I was lucky when I started at Marvel. It was Jeff Parker. I was working with on Thunderbolts,
right?
And he was an artist as well. or to Brian Wood on Northlanders. He was an artist as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I was lucky. Kind of my first big gigs were writer artists, and those scripts flowed.
Of course.
There was very rarely a moment where I was like, I'm going to need 2 panels for this, or something that didn't work visually, or there was some kind of clunkiness, which I've seen has happened to me with other writers. But I mean, it just happens. If you don't have a good visual sense, then that's going to happen. So people who have written and drawn, I feel like that you don't notice how good you have it until you work with somebody who.
Of course, yeah.
Aside from Warren Ellis, working with him, he isn't an artist, but his scripts were weirdly very artist friendly,
Really.
But that was always a goal for me, was if I'm writing for somebody else, then
right,
that's not a problem I want you to have, any work with.
Yeah,
of course. I felt that this would be a good opportunity for you to kind of really show your skills, because I've known you just did some short stories and covers, and you were getting good attention, but seeing there's some projects that can really make an artist level up. I think multiple short stories will do that, but having something you could really bite into, I saw your Darth Vader short story, which was class. It was great to have such a spectacle in a short story, but
of course,
at the same time, having 30 pages to really sink your teeth into, I thought would be a good opportunity for you, as long as you like drawing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was like one of those. Do you know what it was like? It was always something I was looking forward to. Like I was thinking, I can't wait to get a longer story, and it happened to be this one. And it kind of played exactly into. We actually talked. It was funny before he got this when they just got the script. And they said that I was coming on as an artist, and you were like, "Oh, you're the snow guy," because I just done a story on Hot, and then done the Ice Planet story. So I was like, "Hey, I'll be the snow guy. Give me stories of snow from Marvel any day of the week. I'll draw that."
Yeah, but you draw too. My thing was, this will make things easier, because it's going to be like warring xenomorphs, which I'm literally drawing one right now, and it's a pain in the arse. Getting all the details out.
That's brilliant.
So you drawn loads of them. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to make it easy for him. So you didn't make it ezy for yourself, which is that's your problem.
You said that halfway through. You're like, hey, I tried to make it easy for you. That's on you. That's you're gonna either live or die by that one. No, do you know what? I love backgrounds of even in trying to make where the story took place, on the Ice Planet, have some sort of feeling of. I don't even know if life's the right word, because it's supposed to be kind of a desolate place, you know what I mean? But some sort of feel like being lived in, not rather than life, do you know what I mean? It's where just adding textures and kind of going in. I suppose I probably do go a bit too heavy on the textures sometimes, but yeah, it's just fun for me to do. It's kind of, it's the one time I think you can kind of turn your brain off when you're drawing comics. I think a little bit, if you have the pencil stage done in the backgrounds and textures, I just love doing that. So it's kind of, you can chill out and relax and kind of do whatever you do on the side, either watch a show or listen to music. I don't tend to do that anyway. When I draw comics, I just kind of do it in silence. So that's the one time I kind of give myself a podcast or some music to listen to or something, Well,
I mean, I'd learned that lesson from working with Jeff when we did Thunderbolts. There was what was it? My first issues was there was an army of the Hand Ninja. I'm like, oh god, but he goes in the sewer. So great, or there was one. It was all these zombie Egyptian zombies or something, or no, what was it? I can't remember. It was in the desert anyway. But that was it. He'd give me an army of zombies, but it was in a desert. Or what was it? It was 12 Thunderbolts versus 12 Thunderbolts, but it was all underground. I appreciated. He knew the level of work that goes into drawing comics. Of
course.
He knew I was going to have to go to more effort to do some stuff. So he gave me a way of making it a little bit easier than others. So I was always conscious of that, and that's what I was trying to do with you. But you just collapsed it through anyway. Not me though. I'll take those shortcuts. I was wondering, is there so when we were working together, we can show more of the script later, but what you first started, you handed in layouts as you were working away, and it was interesting seeing you work this way, because I do all my layouts similar to this all the way through. But so I remember that was your first attempt, I think, at the layouts, and then I was saying to you that it would make sense to bring the ship through the spread, like you did there, knowing that with a double page spread, the middle will suck up the image. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I felt that. Oh, sorry, your the way you. I just full screen my own thing here. I'm making a mess of things. There you go. That might read as two different pages in a way, with the ship on one side and the planet on the other.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's all those things are always up to you. But you seemed very keen to get like any feedback.
Yeah, that was my whole thing. Like, listen, I kind of said this, like, we said this kind of before, not to blow smoke. Like, I have loved everything you've done as a creator. So for me to work with you, the Irish thing aside, right? Like, we always kind of think, oh, it's deadly to work with an Irish creator. It didn't really matter. It was like just you as like what you've done. It's like I've loved your work, so it's like to have a chance to learn and come in to Marvel this year and learn from anyone. I jumping at the chance. It's almost like it's like I can't kind of believe me luck that I get to learn from creators like this. Does that make sense? You're like trying to break in and trying to like get there. So yeah, you're trying to grab little bits and pieces from anywhere you can. Yeah, and now you have these. But
people. You started saying not to blow smoke up my ass, but then you started saying learning from anyone at all. So you didn't really. Not that much smoke.
Yeah.
But no, I know what you mean, especially when you come. Like I was the same with Jeff when I was starting out. Well, also, you want to impress and you want to please people and you want to get more work, which is like,
of course, exactly.
It's always an element of it, like, but I like talking this stuff over, but I also like never want someone to feel like I'm coming in on top of what they're doing either,
Of course.
Just one thing I learned, just because it's something I like doesn't necessarily mean. I think maybe that came up at some stage when we were talking, is just because I wouldn't do it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. Taste does come into it, Sometimes I do think there's the wrong way to do it and the right way, but there's always those variables. But and I remember I did kind of feel a little bit bad because I think I was really mobbed at the time. I felt like maybe I should be talking to you more, but at the same time, I've got to just let you do it. There's no point like having my shoulder looking over your shoulder the whole time. Like you wouldn't get the gig if you weren't good enough.
Yeah.
So I was hoping there was enough there where you felt like you weren't abandoned, but you weren't like
definitely
over observed.
It's a kind of a delicate push pull, right? Because like you get the job on what you can do. Obviously, I want to learn from you and ask you kind of what do you think of this and that. But also, I wanted to show that I trusted myself as well. It's like I said, it's kind of delicate balance because you don't want to seem like everything what you do, and I want to take all the feedback I can from you. But I want you would have trust in me that, hey, I kind of trust myself what I'm doing as well. I'd take any feedback you give me whatsoever. I'll have questions for you, but I also want you to kind of know that like I'll make your story as best as I can. Do you know what I mean? Rather than like, do you know what I'm saying? It is a delicate balance because I wanted to kind of be really receptive of anything you said to me, but also show that, hey, I can stand on my own 2 feet, not in an arrogant way at all, but just say, hey, listen, I'm really confident I can tell a good story here at the same time,
Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking at the was a small moment there is when we have the Queen looking here where that the angle's changing. I remember I think is it the final one? I remember with the inks it changed it slightly. That was I remember originally it just felt like she was like a clock rather than it was zoom in. I think it was suggesting you zoom in as well.
That was
turn it.
Yeah, that was a really good. Do you know what? No, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's just because I was just thinking. The whole idea was that if you're supposed to feel that the gravity is kind of going off, and I don't know if it worked. I mean, that was trying to see is that here in the script. What page is it?
It was page 3. That was
3. Yeah. The same, but Queen's head is tilted in a clockwise direction slightly. Yeah, so I'm just trying to get the idea that it's turning, but like I wrote that in the script. That doesn't mean it's necessarily going to work on the page. But then between the layouts and the final, I really like that page. How it, it just feels like he's just kind of slightly going off. But again, I don't know if the reader got that.
No, I think to be fair, that was one of Comic-Con people were saying that they did like that. Someone kind of gave a compliment saying that's like it's point. Well, probably maybe 1 second or 1.5 seconds worth of action on one page, and it really gives that kind of sense of. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's zooming in on 1.5 seconds of action, but I really think it kind of adds to the intensity of what's happening. Do you know what I mean? We were saying kind of add the drool and stuff. Like it kind of might look cool to show that as well as she's not just turning. It's not just like the page turning; she's turning with the ship. I think it was a cool effect.
For
just to go back to the double page spread real quick, Dick, that's the one I wanted to kind of say, actually, the one you gave me the advice on with I was kind of talking last time to you about Frank Whiteley. I love Frank Whiteley, like, and I listened to him before talking about pulling back scale for big shots, and I hadn't. No matter how much you draw breaking in, you don't really draw double page spreads because you don't call for it in samples, and they don't call for it in, like, you just don't do it as, like, whatever you're trying to work on, you know. So double page spreads is a new kind of beast to kind of tackle when you're in, I suppose, like, working for Marvel and stuff. So I was like, I love all that Frank Whiteley pulling back the shots to show the scale and scope of things. But for this, it really didn't work, and that's the first one that you told me to change. You didn't tell me to change. You offered your opinion. You were like, maybe bring it closer to the planet, and I was thinking, oh, that makes so much more sense. Like you said, it doesn't split two images, it makes one big cohesive whole image. And I was like, yeah, that. And you see the ship as well, you want to show a big cool ship, don't you, as well as space. So
yeah, really that's works, it, especially because the rest of the environment is so well. So two things: one, I love those moments too. I pull back when I can, as much as I can. And look, these are always subjective, just decisions. One may or may not work. But I did kind of feel that if we're going to be on a nice planet, you want to give readers like a proper like putting back is great because it establishes a scene, and I think the ship is the scene. And if you pull back too far, you wouldn't be establishing that much. I felt you needed a bit of sometimes you need people enough. And look, I think it's the same from an artist's point of view too. You need to give somebody like enough things to draw. I remember when we were starting the Alien series, the first issue barely has any xenomorphs in it. Right. I was thinking, man, if I was drawing an Alien book, I want to draw
xenomorphs, of course.
But from storytelling point of view, it's you lose the impact. So I wrote a kind of a dream sequence at the beginning, so that at least Andrea got to draw like a splash page of a xenomorph. Right. It's not like literally in the story, but it's enough to give the reader and the artist something to chew on,
enough to keep going.
To, like, course, actually dig into the story stuff. But yeah, it's always a balance. Like, but again, just like to show people like your inks on that I mean, it's a lovely double page spread, man, for someone who doesn't do much. I see you kind of added in a couple of digital effects, did you?
Yeah, I did. Yes. So 95% of stuff that I kind of do in the pages is traditional. I try my very best. I kind of had a rule for myself that, right, not even just for my own OCD self, if I couldn't do something traditionally, I didn't want to do it digitally, because I didn't want to kind of, and not that it's cheating or faking anything, but like, see the little kind of lens flares just above the ship and to the left of the ship, they're digital. I just drop them in, but I can do that with an airbrush. So it's like one of those things, I just give myself these little rules to, do you know why I do it? Because I don't want to make me pages and stuff too busy. I want to keep the, like, tones and values are really important to me. So if I kind of go in and mess too much digitally, I feel like it gets too busy. So I want to keep those kind of real restrictions on myself. And there's little lines under the left hand side planet there. They're kind of just they're digital little lines to kind of spread them out. But yeah, the majority, 95% is worked on that and kind of reworked it, and it took a good while. But I think you kind of actually said in the script that kind of you wanted me to show like some really cool space effects with the washes and let me have fun with it. And that's pretty much it,
Yeah, you definitely you followed through on that. Bloomson here is asking if you draw traditional or digitally. It looks traditional, but you never know these days. I mean, I knew you worked on paper because I'd seen your portfolio and everything. But it's a fair point you're making. I think good thing about working on paper is that there are restrictions, and those restrictions can actually enforce decisions. Whereas I think if you're working digitally, I mean, I don't draw digitally, but I color digitally. And like you do have so many options, and it can completely you can get lost in the weeds. I do think,
of course,
working on paper it's a good way for your eye to know what's working and isn't working, because you can just look at the whole piece rather than when you're working digitally, it can be very easy to be like pixel. You can be looking at pixels sometimes,
Yeah, exactly.
But you struck a nice balance there where there's lovely practical stuff going on, and you just use a little bit of digital to kind of, pop it a bit.
Yeah, that's it. And it's kind of, I just enjoy drawing traditionally. To be honest, I've tried to actually kind of replicate stuff digitally, and because I think maybe I've had to hit a deadline, I just can't do it. I can't seem to get the same thing, and I quite enjoy the risk of putting ink on paper and having to be controlled and being in the zone. I like being in me work, like, and being in the zone and kind of really trying to nail those lines. I'm sounding a bit, I hope I don't sound too kind of precious or artsy-fartsy, but like I like being in it and kind of being dirty and just getting ink everywhere, I suppose, you know.
You're talking to Mr. Gets Dirty, man. Like, no, I'm right there with you. Like, like, sure. I mean, when I'm done inking, my hands are always. I won an award there. It was like recently, but when I got it and they're taking photos, my hand was like covered in ink from sketching.
Yes,
so like I kind of awkwardly put my hand in underneath, just because I didn't look like a bloody,
that's hilarious.
Street urchin.
Every time I go home to my fiance, we have white doors at home, and I come home and she's like, "Wash your fucking hands before you step into this house." Now there's all black fingerprints all over the doors.
No, I'm with you, man. I mean, I like just aesthetically, I just prefer the paper. I like. I even like rubbing out the pencil and cleaning it off, and it's a big difference between like drawing from a technical sense, which is important, and drawing like from an aesthetic sense. I mean, this is where I get fairly wanky, but I do think that like enjoying the process of it keeps you engaged in a way where I think if it's just a technical exercise, it gets very dead, but no, I mean, you don't always get to work with people who are kind of the same mindset, because some people just need to get the goddamn thing done, which I get to.
Definitely.
But no, I'm on board with you. So is there any other scenes? Not any other scenes. We're only at the beginning, but is there anything particular? Trying to think. Like you really went into a lot of work with the layouts, trying to work them out.
With the layers, like I suppose it's a little bit of a weird one for me, because I keep them super loose for like editors and stuff, and I hope it kind of reads okay, but I want to like not overcomplicate things. And then when they approve them, I go back in myself and lay the grey tones in myself on top. I don't send the grey tones to the editors because it's like I don't want them to. It just looks too much. So I kind of do that myself, and then it's kind of like just a matter of putting that on the page then. But I always lay out my values and like tones and everything on the layouts first, and then I pretty much replicate. Now there's times where I'll veer from that,
No, I see that now, because the layouts I saw, you didn't have any of the black. So you just did these for yourself.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like when it comes back from the editor, I kind of lay that in and think, right now, this is how many tones and values are going to kind of set up on the page,
But I mean, that must help a lot, because I do fairly detailed layouts. But I mean, especially for how you like to work, it must have been you must work out a lot of your kind of value work with your black spotting, and because you work in so many grays, it probably helps you to figure out like what's going to be a heavy black, what's going to be mid-ground, what's going to be negative space.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I do when I go into my layouts like that. The first thing I do is lay down the black. The black shape on the page is the most important thing for me. The tones and values and stuff kind of are superfluous. Like they add nice depth and stuff, but the black shapes have to be laid in first for me, and think like, right, this is where the eye is going to be. I try to design the page around shapes, and kind of if I can lead the eye with black shapes as well as storytelling, it's like kind of just it's kind of just going to solidify good storytelling, I suppose, So the black shapes go in first, and then everything else kind of goes in around that on top of it,
Yeah, no, same. Sure, it's all shape and trying to point things in the right
exactly.
direction.
Yeah.
Trying to see. So this is pretty much it. You've got the whole book here in layouts. To see the inks here, because everybody would have seen the colors, which I have here as well, but like that's a lot of work to go in, and I was pretty impressed with that. Actually, your reflections in the inks on the water was a lot of work. A lot of work in the sky, which I mean, black would have been fine.
Yeah, it's one of those. Sometimes I go in and think no one's even going to notice that. But I do. It's one of those things, like you said, like it's enjoying it. My favorite part about working in ink wash and kind of watercolor style is like playing with the sky. It's my favorite thing to do. So I could do that all day. So that's not a chore for me. I go in and just enjoy doing that. So it's one of those things. I love it. But yeah, the reflections and stuff. It is. The reflections and stuff is like one of those things. That's kind of that was important, because you in the script it said you see the shooting star in the reflection, so I felt a bit cheap to just do a shooting star and not show the kind of the creature being reflected as well. So I was like, I gotta get this, get this right.
But there's this nice little shooting star effects in the sky there before it hits. It's really, really nicely done. I mean, the first 5 pages work as a good, like, the reason I did them that way was to work as a good like alien opener. It's on a ship. You see the alien queen, like, so you're just going to feel in the world, because everything else, because it takes a real turn. Like most of it's with creatures you don't recognize on a snow planet. So this was, I knew this would be where it gets hard to draw because it's not recognizable characters, and
Of course.
like, did you have a hard time? Like, I mean, anything you draw should work without dialogue, but you knew this wouldn't have dialogue. So like, how did a lot of this go for you?
To be honest, like, not that it was there was certain times you had to really establish everything. I suppose that was the most important thing. I always tried to like make sure everything was clear in the panel of where it came from, what we're looking at, where we're going to. Do you know what I mean? I made sure it was like, even if it didn't call for it in the script, to be like, okay, we're calling back. You can see in the background of that panel, we've just come from the Queen's crater. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, I needed to be everything to be kind of on point. But the script called for most. To be fair, it wasn't, although it's like a silent story and there is a lot on the storytelling, what you're saying, but like, it wasn't ever confused. I never had to read the script. The biggest compliment kind of I could give you would be like, hey, what's going on there? I read the script, and the first time I went through, I was like, oh, that's perfectly understandable, but let me read it a few more times to make sure I did understand it, because sometimes when you come out of a script and it's too easy, you think, I've mistaken there, I've done something wrong there, I'm messing up, I've missed something, you know? So now the script read so kind of easily, I suppose, and it was just a matter of putting that then visually, some cool kind of pictures on the page to...
No, it's great. So was there, I mean, and I'll take no offense if there was there any moment you were like, oh, where is this going?
Let me think. I'm trying to, if there was anything in particular.
I think you had a couple of questions we were asking me and Sarah, maybe, but
I did. I'm trying to think, like storytelling wise. I'm trying to think, what did I have to? It might have been just. Oh, do you know what the biggest thing was, Dick? I was actually trying to figure out what size the creatures were. Actually, that was the biggest thing for me, you know. Actually, that was trying to figure out the size relationships. And then they morph. So it was like, fuck, which one's that? What's their name? Which it should be sequential, but it kind of flipped back and forth a few times. So I was like, oh, Jesus, I got to get that right. And then at the end, one of them was there was a couple of different creatures I wasn't super familiar with, like the winter beast. And then you had like the submorph. So it was like, my God, it was like, and then in the end, there was a face hugger in the winter beast. It's like, Jesus Christ, like, I gotta ask this question here. What's going on? Am I getting this right? I mean, you know,
I call those things artist problems. No, just kidding. No, it's good, because I remember writing it in my head. It makes sense, you know, but like you're not like transmitting it telepathically, like, you know. So it does have to be in the page.
Of course.
And you know, I'd say that's where I may have fallen through a few times, because I'm like, I know myself, when you're drawing stuff, it's a lot of it's just like technical things, like who's standing where, how tall is he next to the other person, what room, you know, how high is the table. A lot of that stuff is it's a lot of technical stuff you've got to figure out, and like from a writing point of view, you generally don't. But no, that was I mean, I'm sure. Look, and that was a perfectly reasonable question. Like, you know, I'm still not sure what size they are.
There was the one scene at the end of the book, actually, where the ship crashes in, because you're working sequentially, and like I'm like kind of in our story, we were feeding into the canon of what you had already created, right, in Thaw and stuff. And there was a thing where like you were saying the ship had crashed backwards into things. So it's like, keeping those kind of things in continuity and understand those things. Like, I can only call on you for that, you know what I mean? Because it's like, and you told me like straight away, I was like, that looks like that in the layout, it has to look like this. So it's like, it's to kind of touch base like that, to keep me in the loop in things like that you've written and I might have missed a little bit, you know what I mean?
Justin Mason says we both need to get back to work. I'm literally at my drawing table, right? I'm drawing pages.
So am I. Just
what are you doing, Mr. Spidey 2099? What are you doing? But Danny's working too. Are you working on something now, Danny?
I am, Dick. Yeah, I'll actually be. It's pretty hectic now for literally the next month till the 18th of November. It's a new project I was telling you, but I don't think it's been announced yet. So I think in the next couple of weeks it's going to be. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, it's for Marvel. It's another gig for Marvel. Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go, Danny. Are you working for Marvel right now? I assume you are. If you weren't, it's a very neat thing.
Yeah. No, it is. It's good.
Danny, someone's asking, it's a new meat and potatoes. Good, solid diet. So Danny, at New York Comic Con, you talked to me about laying out the book in a certain way because it was wordless. Can you talk more about that?
I tell you what, I talked to a lot of people at the Comic Con. I don't know. There might have been a specific question. Was there a specific question attached to that? Actually, Dick, would you mind? Well, we can say here, can't we? If he doesn't come back, I'll answer maybe.
Yeah.
I'll answer maybe.
Could you tell people what you said? You told me at New York Comic Con that somebody came up to you looking at the pages, and they're like, "Oh, this wasn't Declan wrote, was it?" And they said. They wish you drew it.
That was one of those things. Twice at 2 Comic Cons, right? It's so funny. A Top Bubble last year, this fella come up to me. I don't know who it was. Never seen him before. He comes up and he's like, "Hey, he's real enthusiastic. Can I have a look at your artwork?" And I'm thinking, "Oh, mate, absolutely, fire away." And he looks at it, flips the page, goes, "See that one? It's not for me." Flips the next page, right? Goes, "See that one there? It's not for me." It's just flipped through 40 pages, and every one of us. And then in Comic Con, it was so funny. We were chatting at the desk. He's like, "Oh, is this the Alien Annual?" I mean, "Yeah, that's it." Yeah, and he's chatting away about. He's like, "Oh, it's like, oh, Declan Shelby, it's great." And you open the book, he looks to the pages, and goes, "Oh, I wish Deck drew this." I was like, "Jesus, mate, I'm not made of stone. You could have told your mate around the corner."
I don't think that's ever actually happened to me. I mean, there was always, when I was starting out on Thunderbolts, it was Kev Walker was the main artist, and I, was kind of the backup guy. And I would often get like, "Oh, this issue was great. I wish Kevin Walker did." It was like an online review. They didn't say it to my face.
That's right. It's like, all right.
Some people did go like that. "I didn't really like your work at first," and I was okay, but you do now. And they're like, yeah. I was like, "Why is that?"
That's
and
brilliant.
They just like, "I just got used to it."
One of those absolute backhanders. It's like, and he looked at your man and he said to him, "Was like, mate, my fiance's there and I have a family to go home to. Will you give us a break?" Brilliant. I think I just said to him, I said, "You know what, mate, I would have liked to see. I would have preferred to see that as well, I think."
I mean, it's
brilliant.
You gotta love it, like, Sorry, thanks. Groomsman had a few comments. Everybody was saying it to run. Thanks for checking it out. I don't know how this is. Let me know what you think of this, guys. I'd do more of these if. I asked Rory McConville if he want to do one about Time Before Time, and he said, "We'll see how the Danny one goes."
I'm just a lamb to the slaughter, is it?
Yeah. But at this stage, I've worked with so many people, like from different sides of things. I thought it might be a nice thing to do if I could figure out how to work this whole situation. But I'd listen to something like this, but you never know if anyone else does. But yeah, I knew at the very least you and me would enjoy this, even if I only did this the one time.
Of course.
But anyway, yeah, your man, that's like you just couldn't write it, like
Oh my God! It's so
nothing to bring you back down to earth,
That's it. Like, it's one of those things. But like, if you can't laugh at it, it's like, Jesus. That's one thing I said to you before. Like, and I genuinely mean this from the bottom of my heart. It's like, we all have artists we love, right? And I wouldn't say we have artists we don't like. It might just might not be to your taste. But like, I don't really have ego attached to my art. It's like, if someone says something, they like it or they don't. Like, I kind of such critiques from people that like I like really love, and fans are allowed to not like something. That's all right. No, it's different. Sorry, go ahead, Dex.
No, sorry, I interrupt too much as it is. I was going to say, no, there's a big difference between work you don't like and work that is like. There's plenty of people who work I hate, but like it doesn't mean okay. The stuff I just think is terrible, but there is also stuff that just isn't to my taste, and there is a difference in between the two of them.
Absolutely.
But I just wouldn't say it to their faces. So I'll say
that's that thing. Oh, stop. That's too comic. That's 2 for 2 now. So I'm expecting me next Comic-Con, I'm going to be absolutely abused for half an hour next time I turn up. I don't see this turn around anytime soon.
Actually, I should ask, because we did a dry run of this that I thought worked but didn't before in New York. How, I mean, slightly off topic, but like, how was your New York Comic-Con experience? Yeah,
it was genuinely amazing.
It was fun down the table, isn't it?
Yeah, I swear it could not have went any better. More so just like being able to speak to people. Everyone just kept coming to the table and wanting to kind of just look at art and chat art. It's like, do you know what? Like, I love Comic-Cons. I know I've spoke to some pros and they're like, they kind of give or take them. You're stuck in an office so long, or in a studio so long all year round. So I love getting out and chatting. It's people coming up to talk about art or comic books. It's like, Jesus, what's not to love about that? You know what I mean? It's like, I absolutely, I thought it was so cool. And New York's such a cool place. My fiance was there. Yeah, it went great, mate. It really did.
That's great. I mean, I would say like table wise, I wasn't as busy this year as any other year, which is kind of weird. But like the guys at Cadence were saying to me, like, "Geez, you're busy." I'm like, "Am I? I don't really feel like I'm selling much."
Okay.
Like, no, but everyone's coming up to you. I was like, "Oh God, yeah." I mean, that always happen.
That'll always happen.
A huge part of the reason of doing the show. Like,
of course,
like, it's never about making money as such. I think it's different for us than American creators because like it's a real avenue to make a lot of money over a weekend, but like it costs so much for us to go over, to fly over and stay and everything. And for me, it was always of like, you know, meeting the artists who I really wanted to meet and maybe get a sketchbook off them or getting some advice or meeting editor. Like for me, it's always about like meeting people.
Of course.
You know, that's the main reason I go, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. And even it's actually a funny one. I've like sat me on for so long. We all have like obviously in offices and listen to podcasts and stuff. And David Harper, you introduced me to David Harper when he came to the table from Sketch, and it was so funny. It was like you two were talking, I was like looking in the outside. I was like, oh fuck me, I'm not actually listening to this through headphones now. I was like, I'm a part of this. But I was only on the outside listening. I wasn't even involved in the conversation. I was still like listening to a podcast. But I was like, I'm part of this, man. This is cool.
All you do, Dennis, is close your eyes.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was like this. It was like a movie. This is your big chance, and I just sat back, just like I was still listening to a podcast. It was like, all right, cool.
So then, it's like Meat and Potatoes. He followed up. He said when you were talking about working without dialogue. You said you were talking about leading the eye with shapes and layout.
Yeah, that's kind of what we talked about there, Dick, with layout and putting black shapes in. It's kind of actually, I had a few people come up to me with portfolio reviews and stuff. It's like, do you know what, Dick? It's like, I didn't feel really comfortable doing that because it's like I'm only a year, not even in myself. And I'm like, you have David Finch and Artist Alley. It's like one kid came up to me and he was so lovely and he was amazing. He was actually amazing. And he was, I've just been to David Finch. And I'm thinking, believe me now, there's nothing I can tell you. David Finch has seen your work and he saw something, there's nothing I can say. But when people did come up, I said, listen, this is subjective the way I kind of lay out pages, but I do lay it all around kind of like graphic shapes. And I try to lead the eye like as kind of, I suppose, caveman-ish or rudimentary as possible. It's just like this, I'm doing this on purpose. I'm trying to make something look cool, and I'm trying to have kind of a feeling and an atmosphere to pages, but I'm just literally leading the eye with shape. So if you look back at Meat and Potatoes, if you look back at me and Dex just had literally a conversation about 10 minutes ago about kind of layouts. When I have the layouts in, I put the black shapes first and then kind of guide the tones and values around that then, you know.
Well, I would say I just maybe think of something there. We talked about this in the dry run, but I'll say it again here. At least I think I did. When I was starting out, I was doing a book called Freak Show for an Irish publisher, and I was good for my age, but like just my technical drawing skills could have been better. But I cheated by using composition and shape to tell the story. And there was stuff that I needed to get better at drawing, but I would, and I slowly did. But like, I look back on my earlier stuff and I can see I just had a good sense of composition and I could lead the eye, I had a good sense of storytelling, and I could fudge it enough where I'm telling the story for sure. And like, if there was some stuff that was harder to draw, I'd make a little bit of an effort more and get better and better and better. But, I used it to hide my inadequacies. But the important thing was that I built those things up over time, of course. And I think you can always get better at drawing, but it's you're in a better place if you have a good sense of composition and storytelling, because that's the job. Plenty of people can draw amazing stuff, but you can't follow what they're doing, So it's a delicate. I think I might have said to you before. I think there's artists who are incredible illustrators, but like storytelling, not so great. And there's people who are brilliant at storytelling, but their actual drawing is a bit probably. I aim to be in the middle. I think you're definitely one of those guys, because I know you're all about story, but clearly like the technical draftsmanship is so important to you as well. Yeah,
it's kind of one of those things that like my idol, like I think John Paul Leon is God. You know what I mean? It's like I think like he is just for me to look at him.
Black Widow page by him and Injection.
Oh my God.
He did. Of loads more covers as well.
I know where you live, Dick, so I'm going to come get your art off you tonight. But that's amazing. But he's the perfect example of like master storyteller, master illustrator. So it's like there's that place. It's like you can only strive to get there. You never be Jean Paul Leon, but you can always look towards that, right? And I kind of, people ask me as well. Like I kind of learned. I was self-taught. When I say self-taught, I learned through videos and online and stuff. But like I learned from illustrators kind of how to draw, if that makes sense. And then I learned I love comic books. I adore them. I have a million of them on my shelf. But I tried to learn storytelling in comic books, and then drawn through my favorite comic book artists like Jim Lee, like everyone does, breaking in, but then kind of go towards the illustrator side of things, like the golden age of illustrators like Austin Briggs and stuff. But then learn comic book storytelling through comic books. Does that make any sense? You know what I mean? It's like that's why I turn back to comic books for is storytelling. You know? Yeah,
no, I'm the same. Like, and I think there is a balance between Carson. Do you know Carson Thorne? Do you know his work at all?
Oh yeah, he's amazing. Actually, I've chatted to Carson a good bit online this year. He's amazing.
He's good. It's not amazing.
Talk about John Paul Leon. Exactly. Great. Carson's the next John Paul Leon. It looks like he's amazing.
No, yeah, his stuff's great. Hey man, Carson, how's it going? But yeah, no, I'm the same. Like I love like incredible illustration, but like there's like, you know, not to be controversial, but like I just like Sergio Toppi, incredible illustrator.
Yeah.
Like you look at his, like I don't think storytelling is a strong point. Not to be
right.
He's dead, so it's safe to say something. But he's also a master, so who cares what I think? But, you know, I do think that someone who's maybe the incredible draftsmanship and took over the storytelling to a degree. And there's loads of examples of the other two. Like that's why, you know, yeah, I think aiming for the middle is a good place to be. Like, but
yeah, I think, you know, like I got kind of into comic books properly by Jim Lee's. Well, wait, before this was into it, then when I got back into it, it was Hush. It's like, but there's also something about that. It's like Jim Lee is the king, right? Like there's nothing as cool as just seeing a Jim Lee Batman. Fuck, that's so cool. Do you know what I mean? It's like that gets me excited to draw comics. It's like that's what I want to draw. You want to draw characters you love growing up in cool poses and cool shots. You know, there's also something to be said for that. You know.
But that's why whereas actually I'll show it here. That's why I put that shot of the Queen in there. You know. Like that's why you need, like, of course, storytelling is important. Like, but that's why you need those moments. You're like, ooh, you know,
yeah, exactly.
You choose your moments to really kind of go for it, and that's not even a splash page. You know, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 panels. But you've got to, I think, especially for an artist too. Like, there's you got to give somebody enough things where they're telling the story, which is great, and that's what it's all about. But you got to throw them some red meat too sometimes as well.
Definitely.
So like the enthusiasm.
Yeah, that's it. The kind of payoff on this story I felt was kind of from page 21 to page 24 and 5 to double page spread. It was like it was kind of a slow crescendo building up, and it was like it's kind of bubbling and bubbling. We talked about this before, and it's like that's all my panels are really structured and then when I hit page 21, we got the kind of a double page spread fight scene. Although it's not a double page spread, there's panels in it, but I tilted the panels to make it look a bit more visceral. Page 23 is the big cool transformation scene, and I kind of had no panels in that. I wanted to play with kind of old school, really dynamic panels with the tail and the foot and the arms and stuff. And then page 25 just blew up into the big double page spread where they're all kind of going crazy. So that was kind of it for me, where you built it up and built it up and built it up for me, you know.
Well, here's another bit there. I just wanted to again, everybody wants to draw the Queen. I got to do her on the cover. You know, I felt bad because Andrea Ricardo really wanted to draw her, but like it just didn't fit in the story.
Of course,
the guest guy gets to draw her, but you don't, Andrea.
Yeah.
But here's the point again. Like, there's so much for me from a writing point of view. I just think pacing is kind of what I'm into, and I think that comes from drawing comics so much. You know, so like trying to build your moments and drag some out and condense others and figuring out what fits on the page. And from a writing point, that's kind of where I come from. Like, if I don't even have ideas at first, it'll be what's the structure of it, because this is a 30-page story, so I knew where it would have to go, and it would have to build and build and build. And, you know, I mean, that was it, is trying to not like have you dump it all into one image too soon. So it was about building it up. I'm trying to think. Where was it? Show here. This is some of the battle stuff halfway through.
In Ruth's colours or stuff.
Oh, so yeah, shout out to Ruth Redmond, who colored the book. Who, like, I hadn't seen her color stuff like this before, so I wasn't sure how it would work. But
Right.
I just think she did a really good job of using color like signposts and not kind of going in and trying to like not undermine you, but like add more stuff in there that didn't need to be when your pages are already fairly well textured and had a lot going on. Like it, I was slightly worried you might go overboard because of all the value work you do. And we talked about it before.
Yeah.
I felt, not to criticize you publicly, but like some of your earlier stuff, the values got so heavy. Whereas on this, I think you did a great job of like pushing things forward, pushing these back, and having your middle ground. And the worry was that color-wise, that can undercut that. But I think Roots did a great job with it.
That's actually something we kind of, when we had talked before, but this kind of thing slipped my mind as well. That's something I wanted to pick up on. I sent you my first Venomverse story, Declan. You said it to me. It was like, do you know what it was? It was also realizing, seeing my work in print and being colored is like, fuck, it was like, I'm not happy with that. And you said, yeah, this is maybe why. I sent you my No One covers earlier, like the sky is kind of too dark. And there's certain times you can play with that, but you need to kind of lay off a little bit and lessen the tones by maybe like 30%, and it just made so much sense. And since then I've tried to kind of find places where I can leave white on the page. I'm really into that now. It's like, where can I leave white on this page and let things breathe and let the colorist work as well, and yeah, since then, and on this book with the planet, I was like, right, I want to have some texture in the planet, but I want to leave white here as well. I want to kind of let these things breathe and have some open space in these pages as well.
Yeah, like I'm looking here, I'm trying to see if I can find the inked. So you did a great job here because the focus is here on all the creatures. You use the environment to I'm not sure if the cursor shows up on this now, but use the environment to kind of frame it in a really nice way. And then in Rose colors, she did the same thing with color. She pushed the darker values and literally like shone a light on where the focus is going to be. Like worked really, really nicely. I have to say, a lot of credit to Ruth, because you can totally mess up stuff like this, And the one thing about the value stuff, I think, is when you're doing stuff in black with lots of washes, there's K in that. There's like black, the color black, and when you add colors underneath, that can make things very muddy. So like a lighter touch in places can be good, but like a lot of it's also figuring out what's going to work. You don't know what your stuff's going to look like in print. Marvel
that's it. Yeah, that and you see it, you think, I could have like bit gutted about that, or that turned out well. Why did that work and why didn't that work? Do you know what I mean? It's kind of just I suppose deconstructing it as you see it in print and what can work better for the next time it's in print.
But I would say one thing, I don't know if you noticed, but like some of your registration lines showed up in print.
Oh, really? No.
Yeah, some of your lines. I'd have a look at the. I should tell you on a live stream, but sure, look, you learn this stuff as you go. Some of your registration marks like were on the file, so I noticed like I think I saw a couple of little scribbled notes as well were in there too, which I think is kind of cool to see.
Go away, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Just I didn't see.
Have a look at the issue. No. Spot like some registration lines.
As long as it's not like bread, milk, tea bags. Brilliant. I must look at that thing. I didn't see that. That's hilarious.
But again, it's always, like I know, of course I'm saying this to embarrass you, like there's only one to learn sometimes, especially when everyone thinks they've got their shit figured out online, where they'll post the JPEG or something, but like JPEG is not a print file. You know, the only way to learn this stuff is to actually like go through the process and like refine. I remember when me and Jordi Belair used to go out, she used to get pages and really look at the colors and how they printed.
Okay.
And I'm like, you're gonna strain your eyes looking at them like this.
Look at that.
The print process is not a computer screen, and it's the only way to figure these things out.
It's so interesting. Then it's like, when you see your work in print, it's like, before you work, right, you just throw stuff online and Instagram, you think, that is what it is. But then when something's in print, it's like, I can't take that back. That's there forever, no matter what. Do you know what I mean? So like, it makes you really focus on things and think, what can I do better for the next time? It kind of, it's a real weird feeling that it's like, oh Jesus, that can't be taken back now. It's mad.
But Carson's saying he's heading away. Thanks for popping in, man. Appreciate it.
Cheers, Carson. Cheers, mate.
I'm trying to get. Is there anything specific? I mean, we're 15 minutes in. I was wondering if there's any like specific scenes you'd like to kind of take a look at specifically.
I suppose I suppose from the fight scene on. I suppose deck page 21, you can just kind of see the two species fighting. Actually, that's quite cool there. Actually, but going back, 2 pages before that was quite cool. I like that you done this. You kind of you let me kind of play with this. The xenomorph head sits in the same place on both pages, and it's like it just looks like kind of from both angles, from both sides, we're kind of telling the same story that they're going to clash in the middle. Then you can see from this one they're kind of looking out to see the submorphs coming, and the next page the submorphs are attacking. But it kind of reads the same, that they're both kind of coming towards each other. It's going to become full steam ahead.
My favorite bit is the xenomorph in the bottom right corner. It's very Mignola.
Yeah, I love Mignola. Yeah, that's it. Like, kind of, again, playing with shapes. If meat and potatoes is still there, that's like even being able to frame. There's Xenomorph behind him with the tail. It's just kind of like, do you know what I kind of love doing is having things fly off panel. Like, see his head. When I was kind of younger, so if I would have thought like I had to fit everything in the panel, but I love like having half a body off a page, because it just looks like it's real. It looks like it's in a camera frame and like something's happening. It's not just what we're looking at in the frame. It's around. Also, if we pull back around that frame would also be happening. You know what I mean? That's what I kind of feel like I'd like trying to do.
I just I'm just doing a bit of Alien the moment, and just this is my moment. I want to black out a lot of this. But like, I know I'd be tempted to go in and do like a wash on his head or something like that.
Yeah.
Really try and make that a same here as well. The temptation is to go in and do all the detail here, but I want to try and keep it,
as black as you can. Like, I kind of in my old stuff I used to really blacken things out, and it's like I kind of came to the terms as like a little like visual variety just for someone to look at, like maybe 90% black, 10% kind of pulling out some details. But then there's times when I just love thinking, right, I want to just put this in black, and like it's now it's a bravery thing, isn't it, to be like, just put it in black, just leave it. You know what I mean? It's just like, just leave it, have some faith in yourself.
I think it's Jim that you said when in doubt, black it out, but like
black it out,
But sometimes like a silhouette. I mean, I actually remember when we were starting on the book, I tried to encourage Andrea to do as many silhouettes as he could, because I think it is actually such a great design, and it works so well in silhouette.
Definitely.
Because I think he's such a fan. He wanted to draw like every single detail,
the whole thing.
Similar thing. I'm like, relax. Like, there'll be plenty of aliens.
We've got 5 issues.
And there's like similarly, there's none in the first issue, but by the end of it, there's like a swarm of them. So I'm like,
of course, they come out from the.
And I think less is more a lot of times, but like at the same time, you've got this really cool shot of the xenomorph's head there, and it's spitting, the spittle and whatnot. But no, I do love little stuff like that. Like that. That's like I think it's Mignola. I just like how heavy you went with it. Against everything else. But,
I adore Mignola. I think if someone says you like Mignola, it's like, hey, keep talking. I'll never accept it, but keep talking.
Actually, how did you get on with the designs of the submorphs? Because you didn't really have reference to those. Maybe like a couple of shots in the arc we were doing, but there wasn't much for you to work off.
There was a little design sheet for the younger submorph deck. There was a little but there was only kind of, if I'm right, I think there was two shots. Yeah, exactly. So, it was quite. There's enough information there, and I tried to kind of stick to as best I could, because I wanted it to be really loyal to use and what user created. But also, it's like, all right, can I do something kind of cool myself here as well? To kind of maybe have like what I kind of actually. A person asked me today on Twitter what comic books that I look at with reference to the old Alien books, and I genuinely, hand on my heart, didn't look at any, because I would have been terrified. There's too many good artists that have come before me to try Alien, so I was like, and I wasn't even in the mindset either of like, how can I make this my own? I just wanted to make it good, and the whole thing was I wanted to make both species of aliens, the xenomorphs and the submorphs, look like there was muscles on them and sinews and veins, rather than kind of being hard shelled and plastic, kind of, so I wanted to really kind of mix some anatomy with exoskeleton, and even in this one here, you can see the kind of veins running through the submorph's neck. I'm not sure in Andrea's, Andrea's amazing. I would never even try to do his work anyway, but in Andrea's, so if he kind of just has the the little flaps going, the little scales going all the way up, no kind of veins. I just wanted to kind of make it look a bit more monstery, I suppose, if that makes any sense, you know. And same with the xenomorphs.
Yeah, I just think you did a really good job, like of working out how they work. You know, because again, I'm drawing more for the moment, and like with all the reference you can find, just making them work could be quite tough. But like, I mean, this is not an easy annual to do. Like, and I really nailed it, man.
Thanks, Dick. Yeah, it was always kind of one like they're so limber, aren't they? The aliens. It was always like, right, where do you find the pose? And I was like, I'm going to push this to its absolute extreme, and then probably pull back a little bit from there. Because if you go too far, it doesn't look right, like it's sitting in the real world. Well, not the real world because it's comic books, but you know what I mean. I wanted to push it so far, but then not have it go overboard either. You know.
Yeah, and also like it's a specific model of the alien. It's like from the first movie, and which was a guy in a suit. And you want to not look like a guy in a suit.
Exactly.
Crazy, so there's a lot of
it's so funny. There's one picture that Sarah sent me. It's like a reference picture, and it's like it's probably the best reference picture that we had, other than the sideshow toys and stuff that you can look at. But like, it's just a guy standing there on set with his arms down by his side, just doing an alien suit. It's like Halloween. It's like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen, but it's the best reference I can find. You know?
Yeah, that's what you should have done. Just run lots of like actively sending aliens all along the landscape.
Just dudes that have like their costumes too big for them, showing the wrists and the gloves on top of them. But how are you finding it, Dick? How are you finding drawing the aliens?
Fine. It's I know what not to do because from all the notes I would see you or Andre get. So I have written it in a way. No, fine. Yeah, it's just finding wanting it to see. Like, I have a shot here. I mean, I've shown us. So I don't want to show more. Where that's a very alien. It's a pose that's way more expressive than that's in the films. But there's a few that are actually quite. I think there's one I showed it on. I showed it on Twitter, so I'll show it here. Where's it? You know, like it's a fairly. Yeah, like which is a fairly static shot, so it's not anything crazy. But I like that. I've seen it before, but I wanted to try it. But I have another one to balance it out, which is way more kind of creaturey. But it is. I mean, finding the specific alien is tough because there's a lot of different. Like, there's a lot of reference out there that is fan stuff, which isn't accurate to the rest. And like, I think the balance is. You find some really good reference shots with all the detail, and you want to draw all the detail. But I do actually think it's better to see less when less is more with the alien. Like, the more it's blacked out, the better. So
definitely.
And like, yeah, small little thing like I got the teeth wrong in the first issue, and I had to fix that and things like that. But it's fine. I'm only drawing them in a few pages. I don't know how I'd handle doing a whole series the way Andrea has.
Andrea is
stuff though.
Yeah, I was going to say, would you open a page? Like, you open a page in this comic and it's not a xenomorph that doesn't look like a xenomorph. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's just like that could be pulled in anything. It could be put in like an encyclopedia. Like, it's just perfectly drawn, you know? So it was like, Jesus, I wasn't going to try to compete with that, you know?
I was got a message from Daniel Fee. Stick to Twitch. YouTube is my territory. I'm coming for you, kids. He also wants to know how rich you think I am. Not very, Danny.
That's
Daniel.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. I love it.
See, I mean, you can't really go wrong with Ridley Scott Alien, can you? I just see if there's any actually specific questions for you. Andreas says I should do more of these, although people seem to like you more than me, so maybe you should do more of these.
Stop. I'll just take over your channel. Jesus, with the hardship deck, we just talked about that. I told you we draw traditionally, mate, with the hardship. We had trying to get this thing together. It's like, I'd rather quit and move to the mountains, mate.
Yeah, I know. This just blew up my face. Did not work. But that's cool. I'm glad people like doing more of these. It'd be cool to do. But of course, it always depends on who you're doing with. I knew you and me would like would have a good one, like, you know.
Definitely.
I just want to show off a little bit more stuff before we get close to wrapping it up. Remember this? I think I drew. If I recall right in the script, of course I could just check. But this page and this page were actually I just left you to do what you want. Wasn't that it?
It
And you
was
decided to make
the
one
previous.
storytelling and the other one montage.
So it was 21 and 22. So it was the 2 pages previous to that one, and the one. So it was that one and the next one,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Yeah.
you talked me through the transformation. Actually, that transformation scene where it goes into the adult submorph. You talked me through that in the script. You kind of gave me the bones of what it should look like. Its ribs are breaking and stuff. In that one, that's in the script, kind of pretty detailed of how you wanted that one to look. And then the next one, you gave me carte blanche as well. Carte blanche. I'm from Wicklow. How can I even sit here and say? And try to say that properly? If my dad heard me now, he'd pull me into the kitchen and kill me.
Carte blanche.
Carte blanche.
Yeah, I was trying to hear. I just went to the script because I didn't realize I actually put the stuff in there. So yeah, on page 20, I showed that was like the young submorph.
That's it.
And that's Andrea's design. Then yeah, so yeah, 21. That was up to you there, and then there's Andrea's design for the adult transformed submorph basically.
That's right.
Yeah, I forgot I put it in there. And then this is the best thing about writing, man. Climaxing a dual page spread of xenomorphs and submorphs clawing at each other. Sprinkle in some submorphs in there, and like boom.
Job done, Dick. You're a genius, mate. Drinking the coffee to go. Stuff.
At the top, Danny.
That's someone actually asked me on the Instagram today when I posted that, like, what does the script look like for that? And that's the one page I said, listen, the script is unbelievable, but that is literally the one page of the script where Dick just said, go have fun. That's not a good, like, a true what would you say, like reflection of what the script looked like throughout the whole thing, you know?
Yeah, like I mean the script is light. If you can see, like I don't go crazy. Like even for myself, I write full script. The difference with this is there isn't any dialogue. But
dialogue, of course.
Yeah, I'll always do. I think you see here, like page 18. I always put down how many panels because I knew when I was working with other artists, I found that I don't know if you've had this experience. Panel 1 is a moment. It's like, I don't know, a motel. And you're like, okay, cool. Mm-hmm. So you have an image of a motel in your head. Like, I could do a nice shot of a motel. Panel 2, something else happens. Okay, cool. And in your head, you're like, that fits in. Panel 3, okay, cool, that fits in. Panel 4, Wolverine bursts through the door, large panel. And you're like, oh, right. Okay, because the first panel in my head was bigger. It's like but
absolutely.
Now that's not going to work now because this panel, the panel where he bursts through the wall, is the big panel, and now the establishing panel has to be much smaller. Now, it's not the biggest problem in the world, but I don't know about you, but I found if I know how many panels the page is when I start reading it, you're preparing yourself.
Yeah, definitely. That's why definitely
8 panels by the time you get to the end of the page, but you don't know that when you're reading the script. So if I can see how many panels it is on top, it helps me pace the visual space and story.
Of course.
That's happened to you.
No, definitely. It definitely has. It's like with the writer I'm working with now, he's amazing. Actually, it's actually the first time I've had it kind of since working with Marvel that he does it in blocks of 2. So he'll say page 7 and page 8 and write them together and say total 10 panels, and I can break them down however I want to. It's a really cool way of working. Yeah, it gives you loads of freedom, and then obviously you have to back yourself as a storyteller to be able to pick at the right moments and what should be big, what should be small, how we go about it. You know what I mean? It's like what is important to show and stuff. But yeah, definitely, like I think, like having at the top of the page 5 panels, 6 panels, it's super helpful and super important. I think, yeah.
Well, was it I'm getting an ISO for that page? I hope so. That'd be great.
That's brilliant.
And everyone, look, I tried helping him, all right? I gave him 20 places to go easy, and you didn't take it, so...
No, I want to say, like, let me say this, because we did say...
I should do that. We should work together, Danny. You write and draw it, and I'll just stick my name on it.
That's it. No, I want to say today, because last time we said this, and I kind of something I want to reiterate. I haven't said it this time, that how much of a help you were to me. It's super important that I want people to know that. I know I've said it a lot, but even checking in with like being able to help with like laying out pages and me asking questions and you give me a time, and then at the end of the book, it was like you went above and beyond, which is amazing. I need people to know how much I appreciate that. Like genuinely, it's like you checked in, but it was little things like, hey, how are you getting on? And that's like, oh, you know what? And I can football. I consider myself, when I say hard enough, it's like I don't need that, but it's lovely to get that, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, that's great. Thanks a million for that, man. I'm working hard here and I'm swamped under this, but really appreciate you checking in.
I just watched the David Beckham documentary last night while I was working. Well, I played it while I drew.
That's it. Turn off the stream now. You just said you watched football. Turn off the stream. We're done.
No. We football documentary. I don't care about sports, but for some reason, I really like sports documentaries. I like shows about sports. I like sports documentaries. Actual sports themselves does nothing for me. But, and I actually found myself getting very emotional.
Did you?
I've never seen it but yeah, I had no idea he was a charming son of a bitch. Like I thought he was.
Oh my god! It's like he was my idol deck growing up. I had every inch of my room plastered in Beckham posters. I don't want to. I'll leave it. I know I'll leave him, but I played against him in 2011. And it was like, it was the weirdest thing ever. It was like seeing him through a screen, and he looked at me, and I was supposed to be marking him, and my knees just buckled. I was like, "Oh, that's Beckham." I was like, Jesus,
that's like together on the alien.
And yeah, when you looked at me, that was it, mate. My knees wobbled. I was done.
Yeah, I don't quite have the same hair, but no, I would say there's something. I'm sure that you know, in the document that was interesting, like, you know, how much the team mattered and stuff like that, and it's very, what you said, what we do is very isolating, but I know what it's like to be, you know, have these pages and the deadline's there and you're trying to shove up against it, and like, you know, I can't draw it for you. I didn't want to draw it for you because it was hard of you to draw, but at the same time, it costs nothing to just kind of go, is everything all right?
Of course.
Because, you know, even your partner doesn't understand because they don't know they just see what you're doing. They don't necessarily, you know, understand how you're doing it. I know what it's like. I've literally been there. So I just try to make a point of just checking in. And even if you just needed to vent, which you didn't, to be fair, it's not, you didn't go like, you know, you didn't use the opportunity to kind of like vent off frustration, which is totally fine. Like, I mean, I expected it. But I think it does help knowing when someone goes like, you know, I know what you're going through, you know, you'd be grand.
Definitely.
That's what helps. Crackles is asking if we considered working Marvel method. Well, it seems like the way you're working with this new writer, it's a little bit in between if they're giving you like 2 pages to play with. I felt personally that what I like, I think I said earlier on, what I like is about pacing. I do think, I know some artists like to work more loose, but I think that you're asking more of an artist to do that. I mean, that's good. If the artist wants to be doing that, then that's fine. I personally think it can be a bit of a cop-out from a writer's point of view. Because then all the artists doing all the hard work. Like, I think it's important that I work out how to pace the story, and then of course you're always free to like adapt and change and move things slightly, you know, to what suits you. But I wouldn't be a fan of I wouldn't really feel like I'm really doing my job if I was working Marvel method.
Marvel method, right?
You'd like to do, is it?
Do you know what? I'd love to give it a shot, to be fair, but right now, Dick, to be honest, like I've said, telling this to you before, like I have nothing other than just kind of getting as much work as I can. Like, Jesus, working with every writer, to be fair, has been amazing. And I don't ever push back, Dick. There's certain times where I've said like, hey, can I add this panel or add that panel? Like, I would never in a million years say like, hey, this doesn't work. Like, not at all. I just like more so for my own story, telling me, hey, that shot for me, I couldn't be able to. In this recent story, there was a shot where, like, you see, it's an established shot of a detective, and I was like, "Hey, can I just put a tiny panel above that just to show his face, and then pull back because I wanted to show more of what he was asking for in the 4th panel, but I had to establish him in that as well." And they were like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." I would only ever ask for little things like that, and if it's ever a problem, I'd be like, "No, if you don't want it, I'll figure out the 3rd panel. Don't even worry about it." You know what I mean? It's like that's not like Jesus. I kind of just. I think now that like everyone's more experienced than me now in this business, so that I can only learn realistically. I want to kind of just shut up and listen as much as I can rather than anything and just kind of get the work done. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I mean, you also need to develop your own sense of storytelling and what you like and what you like. I mean, that's how I kind of learned how to write was like, I didn't have any confidence, but like I worked with so many great writers, and you get a sense of like what works for them and may not work for you, and vice versa.
Right.
Which, and again, it's just a
Right.
taste thing. But it's knowing that. I mean, I think you're lucky, you're fortunate that I think the stuff that you're getting offered is stuff you genuinely like.
Definitely.
You know, like I said, we looked at the alien thing or the stuff like,
Mhm.
you know, it may end up you have to do a project that you're not really into or whatever reason. But I think working on stuff you like really helps you kind of form the type of storyteller you want to be.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true.
I
That's
could
very
tell
true.
from how much we've talked, you know, it's not just about like working a big character. I mean, of course, that's part of it, but like I can tell you want to be a good artist, you want to be a good storyteller, you know, you want to be, you know, somebody who's doing good work, and doing those types of projects definitely helps you fine tune. You know, like
Yeah.
I loved working on Thunderbolts with Jeff, but when I did Northlanders with Brian Wood, it was a whole other type of story. You know,
Right.
nothing like superheroes, and it totally had to change my approach to like how I was breaking down the story, and I found I really liked it. I was like, wow, this is way more
Okay.
my. And there's nothing against Jeff. Like, you know, Jeff was like I said, writer artist, knew how to put it down on the page. But
Mhm.
I noticed not doing like more satellite panels and breaking panel borders and stuff. That was fine, but stepping back, drawing the landscapes and figures in
Mhm.
landscapes and moodier shots, I'm like, this is way more like how I want to do my storytelling. And then, you know, that's why I say Moon Knight is the way it was, because I didn't just do superheroes. I did other types of stories, and I kind of merged that kind of approach, and
Of course.
that made help me figure out what I wanted to be doing more of, you know. So
That's
the only way to
amazing.
figure that out is to work with different people, and the more talented they are, the better, because you learn more from them.
Mhm.
You know, it's all downhill after the alien animal. I don't know whatever you're doing now. Possibly good, but you're in a great place now, man, where you're being paid to learn from the best.
Yeah.
I'm not
It's
agreeing with you there. It's
no, it
pretty
is. Oh, it's
exciting
true, Dick.
place to
It's
be.
true. It's ridiculous, Dick. It's ridiculous, mate. Like it's. I'm not even like kind of being like I'm not lying when I say like it's the luckiest thing ever. Like I'm getting to learn, like you said, from the best people in the business. It's like Jesus, and I'm getting paid to do it, and I get to draw every day. It's like it genuinely is ridiculous. Of course, it's hard work, Dick. You know, but like it's long hours. It's hard work, but right, my dad's a carpenter. He gets on roofs in December every year, and he's freezing cold. I mean, I get to sit and like work long hours and draw every day. That's a dream come true. It's all I've ever wanted, you know.
Like one of my fingers a little sore because there's a little dry skin. You know,
Get the Sudocrem, get the Sudocrem.
yeah.
That's exactly it. That's it. Like I go to the kitchen and say, "How's today, son?" A hard day, Dad. He looks at me and says, "Yeah, I can't walk, son. I can't. Will you help me? Will you help me upstairs?"
No, I mean, you're right.
Stop.
We're ridiculously lucky to get what we do, but like there's you know huge downsides to it as well. Like any job, you know. I mean, me and Stephen we needed to talk one time, and I felt like we were really bumming them out because I basically said, "You never see your friends. Like it's very hard to like maintain a
Yeah,
relationship, you know,
of course,
inside all the
of
time. But like
course.
if you're, you know, to be mentally aside from like the physical labor of it all, like you know, to have a good head for it, like you know. But I know, it seems like you're taking to it like a fish to water, man.
Yeah, no, it's been fantastic. Like my other career kind of led me up to this. To be fair, like it was like the most ruthless career ever. So I understand like what I suppose coming from that, I understand kind of what hard work is. I suppose that's my biggest thing. I suppose, and coming from Ireland, we all know what hard work is. I think as well, you know. So, but it's just been having that career taught me a lot because it's coming in here is like nothing like will humble you than someone being better than you and being new at something. So like that's where I say I have no ego. It's like I want to learn as much as I can, as quick as I can, as best as I can, not to get like more from the pie, but I mean, just I want to be a better artist, quicker and better, and just kind of get on that. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of really kind of
Yeah.
want knowledge and
But
information,
so
and it's great.
you said at the beginning, like was you know, like both of us being Irish, like it's cool. It's cool to be working with another Irish person, and Ruth as well is Irish too. So it was like an all Ireland
Deadly,
Marvel issue of Alien of all things.
so
Those
cool.
things are cool. It's great to, you know, like you know, you and I have two very different paths to where we are now, but there's what I do like about all the Irish like creators is there's a kind of a through line cultural thing where you know we all get it. You know, none of us deserve
Absolutely.
to be here, but we're here. Don't let them know. Don't let them know it shouldn't be let in the door. But we're inside now.
That's amazing.
They can't kick
But
us
that
out.
was like,
Squatters'
but that
rights.
was squatters' rights, exactly. But that was like, not to kind of harp on that, but that was a big thing for me. Like, even kind of me and Stephen would talk about it a lot at Stephen Mooney at Comic Con, and then Will. Like, I love Will to bits. He's like, it's super important, like I said, like for me, like you have created this whole thing and if you like, you are amazing creators on their own, right? But then if you do take it into like little context of Ireland, you compartmentalize it, you have created a massive thing for Irish people to come along. Like what you created is a great reputation for Irish people, and there's no way I was going to come in and upset that at all. I was going to be like, no, this is important to uphold this as best as I can. Do you know what I mean? And it sounds kind of tutti fruity, but I genuinely mean that it was important for me to do that, you know.
And I mean, being tutti frutti and everything, like, I mean, look, at the end of the day, none of that matters. It's your own thing, and you have to look after yourself. But no, me and Moon, you've definitely talked about it before, like how lucky we are to be where we are, and you know, to kind of want. It wasn't like set a precedent for other creators, because as far as we were concerned, we were just trying to, like, you know, keep getting more work.
Yourself, like, of course,
you know. Same as, you know, all of us. I mean, you know, when me and Will broke in and everything, was like, just don't kick us out, like. And then you're doing it for over 10 years and realize, oh, there's people coming up, and but we do. I mean, always wanted the Yanks to think of the Irish people as hardworking, good to work with. Like, you do want to set a precedent, basically, because we did definitely. I mean, I've encouraged and helped other people be behind us, like, so. It's not something I'd expect anybody else to keep in mind, but like Mooney told me he had a conversation with you, all right, and I was like, that's great. That's really nice to hear, because, you know, somebody in a few years is going to see your work and go, wow, you know, Danny Earls, he's amazing. Who's Declan Shalvey? Whatever. But like, you could be the person you could be that for so you will be that. I mean, I can 100% say for sure you will be that for somebody, you know.
That's great.
And it's good to know that, you know, you're not going to like sabotage all of our reputations.
No, genuinely, that's what it is. It's but you're right. Like, you're right, Dick. When you get in, you're only thinking about how can I get more work. It's you. But then when you have got in and you see it, you can kind of step down and look at it now and think, oh, no, there is a great kind of Irish bond now and relationship and reputation more than anything that's been built. You know what I mean? That like Irish people work hard and they're reliable and trustworthy. I would hope, you know.
Well. Sure, look, I'll leave it at that. So,
all right,
mate. I'm just gonna like just quickly kind of go through all these pages again, showing the inks. I mean, again, huge props to Ruth, who started out back in my studio. It's mad to see how well she's doing now.
That's amazing.
And she did a great job with this. You did too. Do you have anything coming out between now and the next gig, Danny? Was there?
There is a short story, but I can't mention it yet. Like, it hasn't been announced yet, so it's for Marvel as well. So I have one coming out for Marvel, and then I'm working on a thing now for Marvel. So a couple of covers in between there as well, but nothing kind of I can mention either. So
fair enough. Kean M says, Denny's that inspirational person already. Work ethic backed up by the work. Incredible. I will say, man, I do. I mean, I do respect your work ethic. I mean, there was a couple of times we worked on the book, and I asked, "You want to go for drinks?" You're like, no, I got to get the book done. And I was like, one hand going, loser. On the other hand, it was fair play.
It was.
This is an opportunity for you. You have to fucking. And sure, at the end, I remember you were really stressed at the end trying to get it done for the deadline, but you did. Mm-hmm. So like that is what's most important. Like, you know, fair play to you on that front. So we like it's a great place to be getting these types of gigs, and you want to be following through on them, you know.
Exactly.
And like you said about you know the job you had before, playing all over the world. I've worked like digging holes for ditches in dodgy neighborhoods in Limerick, you know, delivering coal all around my hometown. They didn't really necessarily give me like inspiration, but like they did give me work ethic, and especially of doing things like, I don't want this to be my life, you know. Of course, like if I ever get an opportunity to do comics, I'm gonna you know, dedicate myself and I have, and so thankfully it's worked out. But I think that kind of gets lost in the conversation about doing comics. It's just the amount of dedication it takes. I was talking to somebody recently, and they said, "Oh, my son would love to do it, but like he's a bit lazy." And I'm like, "Well,
It's not going to work then. Yeah, definitely. It's one of those when you asked me, Dec, I was like, Jesus, I said to my fiance, I was like, fuck, Dec asked me to go for a drink again. Even with Will, I've been trying to go to Will's house all year to just kind of have a chat to him. And I'm like, fuck. But I'm like, listen, if I can't say it to you, of all people, if you don't understand, it's like, well, then I'm totally screwed with everyone else. So like, I knew you should get it, but I appreciate your understanding as well, mate.
It is a shame we didn't make it down to Cork, actually, because there was a Cork con on, and
of course,
we're not even talking about art anymore. We're just having a chat.
Yeah, just chatting.
But it was class, like myself and Will and Nate Stockman and all that. It was really cool to have all the Irish lads in one spot.
Of course.
When I sit down, but sure, we'll work it out next time. But
we definitely will.
Thankfully, are too busy for us now. So
exactly.
Look, I'll leave it off.
Thanks,
thanks for everybody who came in and asked a question, because that gives me less work to do. And if you like this, I'm going to do the YouTube thing. If you like it, share, subscribe, blah 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 blah. I don't care. Just let me know if you like this, and I'll do more of these. I just that whole thing like share, subscribe, and like, and hit the bell. It's never going to happen. I'm like 12 people follow this thing.
It's the most Irish I've ever heard in my life, mate. That is the most Irish I've ever heard. Yeah, if you like it, I couldn't give a shit. See you later, lads.
I just don't have too much dignity to like do the chilling thing. But of course, if you do like this, do like let me and Danny know. Feel free to share this on YouTube. Like this was fun to do. I would like to do more of these, but I'm also busy, so I'm not going to do it unless it's more time. Anything else you want to say or give anything?
No, that's. I'll never. You never get that out of me, Dec. No, thanks for all your time, Dec. That's all, mate, and thanks everyone for the support this year. It's been a ridiculous year, and I just can't thank everyone enough, mate. Genuinely, seriously.
I'm sure. All right, sure. Yeah, sure. I'll talk to you soon anyway. And thanks a million, guys.
All right, guys.
I'll catch you later.
Perfect. See you guys.